Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. You guys, so in today's video I'm going to be talking about how to change employers or how to change jobs here in the UK. What you need to do when you want to change jobs or when you want to change employers. If your contract hasn't expired, what you need to do, or if your certificate of sponsorship is either almost expiring or hasn't expired yet, what you need to do to have a smooth transition of changing from one job to the other or from changing employers to the other. If it is your first time of coming across this channel and see my face, my name is Becca. I'm an overseas nurse currently practicing in UK. So I just got to the UKVI to have my biometric appointment, and I just finished and just thought of doing this video real quick before hopefully I get busy again. So stay tuned and watch this video if this topic is of interest to you. Right guys, so first off, I just got a place to stand which is less noisy to make this video. I just finished my biometric appointment and it was real quick. It took just about 10 minutes. And I asked the guy that did my biometric, I was asking him some questions of how, like, people who usually change jobs when they're in the UK, some challenges they face because he's been working there for some time now. And he told me some things which I'll be talking about also in this video. So the first thing you have to do if you want to change jobs, there are actually two ways of changing jobs here in the UK. And this video is for healthcare workers or for migrants who are on tier 2 sponsorship or who are on resident permit, or what we call the biometric resident permit, that's the BRP. So if you want to change jobs, there are two ways of going about it. If you are in the NHS, or even if you're in the care home, I know some care home or private is a big company, so they have different sites. So you have to, there are two ways of going about it. We have the internal change of jobs and the external. So I'll talk about the internal first, and then I'll talk about the external, because the internal is quite straightforward and simple. So with the internal one, you have to go to your organization's intranet, and then you literally search for jobs that are available and are of interest to you. So once you get the job, you apply for it, and then you go for an interview. One thing you need to know is, even if the job is an internal job, you still need to go for an interview, because probably it's a different field, or it's a different specialization, or it's a different unit. So you definitely need to go for an interview, which is usually face-to-face if you are already in the UK. After you've gone for this interview, if you are successful, you are going to get an offer letter. If it's within the same organization, it should take about 4 to 6 weeks for you to tender your resignation letter and to switch over to the new department. So because it's the same organization and they already have your details, it's straightforward. They just give you another contract or another job offer, and you don't have to switch visas because it's the same institution. So you just switch the job, you get a new job offer, but you don't do any visa application, and you don't change employers. So it is the same trust or the same organization, but your job role has changed. That is one way of changing jobs. The second one, which is what I did, which is quite, it's not complex, but it's quite involving, is to change employers. So with this one, you are basically changing from not just one job to another, but you are changing from one sponsor to another. Okay, so it involves changing from an organization or even changing from town. So in my case, I changed the organization, I changed my job role, I changed my band level, and I changed my location as well. So it was like a whole kind of things working together or happening together at once. But today marks the end of it, because I just did my biometric appointment, and just waiting for my new BRP to be issued, stating that I have changed employers. So if you want to change employer completely, or if you want to change the institution, the first thing you have to do, if you haven't finished serving your contract, what I'd advise you to do is to ask or verify how much you're going to be paying back to the trust. Okay, so let me use mine as a vivid example. So I wanted to change the trust, I wanted to change jobs entirely. So the first thing I did was to look for the job, because it's the job that is going to give you the sponsorship to continuously live in the UK. So the job is the most important thing. Fortunately for me, the job I wanted, I had a specific kind of job in view. So that is the thing you should do. If you want to change jobs, have the kind of job you want at mind. Probably it's a promotional job you want to go into. It's a managerial role. It's a change of role. It's a new specialization that you want to do. So I looked for the job. I think it was a Sunday dawn, early morning. So I looked for the job. I applied for it. Same day, somebody called me from the job application center to ask me of my interest in the job. And so that same day, we scheduled an interview based on my availability, because at that time I was still working with my old employer. I needed to get a day off. So they wanted it to be a face-to-face, but I didn't have that much time to travel down to London to have a face-to-face interview. So I opted for the Skype. But most of the times they are going to tell you to come face-to-face because you're already in the UK and they want to like kind of see you and be sure that they are giving the job to the right person. So whichever way it is, you have the interview. And in my case, the same day I had the interview in the morning. The same day I had the interview, I had my offer letter later that same day. So that was somewhere around May 12th. I had the interview. That same day I had my offer letter and I was happy with it. The next thing you have to do is to put in your resignation letter. So in my old contract, I was told that if I wanted to leave my job, I had to put in a 2-month resignation. I asked my potential employer, which was my new employer, whether I should tender in my resignation, because I didn't want the situation where I would tender in my resignation and I'll be told a different story later in life. So they assured me that 100% I have qualified for the job, and once I'm happy with the offer, I can put in my resignation. So the next day when I was going to work, I already had my resignation letter. I wrote it that same day and I tendered it in. In my case, I hadn't finished serving my contract, so I had to pay monies back to the trust. So the next phase was to ask how much exactly I was paying. But fast forward, at the end of it all, I paid some thousands of pounds back to the trust, which included my 3 months of free accommodation that was given to me when I first came into the UK, my OSCE exams fee, my OSCE transportation. So that is transportation to the OSCE center and back for all my lessons, the hotel I slept in for the OSCE exams that was paid for by the trust, my visa fee, my tickets, in CBT exams, my NMC application fees and everything that was refunded back to me, I had to pay back to the trust. And this was because I was leaving just before 2 years of finishing that contract. You can't wait for your contract to end. If your contract ends and you are changing jobs, then you don't have to pay any money back to your employer. But in my case, I didn't want to wait for the contract to end. I wasn't even willing to wait for a day more. So I had to raise the money and pay back to the trust, which was thousands of pounds. Then I started to arrange how to refund the money. So we agreed on refunding the money. I wanted to pay through bank transfer, but they said they were going to take it through my salary. So they agreed to take it for my last 2 salaries, which was from the day I put in my resignation letter, 2 months from then, which I was happy with. Somebody also told me that sometimes they take the money in installments on monthly basis. That I am not so sure of, but it all depends on the mutual understanding and the agreement that is, or whatever is arranged between you and the trust. Okay, so after you've arranged how to refund those monies, then you can start your exit plan. And the exit plan includes chasing your new certificate of sponsorship. So when you put in your resignation for this employer, the resignation date, the end date, they are going to tell you when they want you to end. So in my case, I had some annual leaves that I was qualified for, but I didn't get them because the specialization I was working in, they needed somebody to fit in my role before I could leave. So they needed somebody to train for the endoscopy procedures before they could allow me to go. So I gave up my annual leave. I gave up everything. I worked for the 2 months. No, I worked for 2 months and 2 weeks even, and then I left. In case you are almost ending your contract, or you have your certificate of sponsorship is almost ending, or your contract of 3 years or 2 years is almost ending, and you want to change jobs, it's the same thing. You need to get a sponsor, and this sponsor should be able to give you a certificate of sponsorship that can make you last or continue to live as a resident in the UK. Okay, so once you get your resignation date from your old employer, you give it to your new employer or your potential employer and tell them when you are going to leave that old job. And this is because they need to factor in and get you a new certificate of sponsorship so that you do not become an illegal migrant in the country. If you are changing jobs, you have 30 days of grace period to switch successfully to your job. So from the time of leaving your old job to the time of getting to your new job, you have a grace period of 30 days where you can continue to live in the UK without sponsorship. After the 30 days, if you are not fortunate, you would have to go back home and start the whole process again, or get a solicitor to do things for you. That is too stressful. You don't want to do that. So try to get a new sponsor that is going to give you a certificate of sponsorship based on your resignation letter for the old job. So what I did was, when I got my resignation letter, I put in my resignation letter and I got the acknowledgement of the resignation. I gave it to my new employer and they knew when I was going to be leaving my old job. Then they gave me my new certificate of sponsorship. So when you get your certificate of sponsorship, you just go onto the UKVI's website, and then you put in your application. You submit all your supporting information, and the supporting information are all the information you submitted when you were first coming into the UK. So your passport, your whatever. The only thing that is different is your NMC pin. That will be added to this one, because now you have your NMC pin, and then you give your new certificate of sponsorship also. And when I was asking the guy that did my biometric application, I was asking him, have there been any cases where people have, you know, come in and they have breached that 30 days, you know, grace period? And he said no, it just happened with just one lady who, with her, it wasn't even her fault, but it was the sponsor's fault. So the people that were giving her the sponsorship didn't have license at that time, but they, you know, held her, wasted her time for 6 months before they gave her the certificate of sponsorship. But because it was a genuine reason, it wasn't her fault, they didn't deem her as an illegal migrant. She continued to live and work in the UK. But for you to transition smoothly, you have to get your new certificate of sponsorship. And also what they need to know is that you can continue sponsoring yourself while you live in the UK. And that is basically what the certificate of sponsorship is all about. It's just stating that your employer is just stating to them that this is your salary, this is how much they are going to be paying you, and you can continue to live in the UK on that salary. So when the time is due for your biometric appointment, you go in and submit your fingerprint, which takes just about 10 to 20 minutes. And that is it. So that is how to change from one job to the other. And then your new job will give you your start dates, which should be not too far from your certificate of sponsorship, because you need to be taking salary and you need to get your life running. Okay, so that is how fast it should be. Once you're already in the UK, it should be really fast. Somebody asked, why did I choose London? Why did I choose to live in London? A whole lot of questions. I'll answer them in a separate video if I have some time any day in the future. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think, or let me know if you have any questions about this video. Until we meet again in my next video, it's bye for now. Cheers.